I've needed that affirmation, that confirmation, and that attaboy, and you're doing good, and the warm fuzzies and the strokes. Because I didn't have it necessarily when I was younger. Is that fear of not being good enough? So needing that constant approval. Well, guess what? The only person that can tell me I'm good enough is me, and the effort I put in and the work that I accomplish through determination, through repetition, through actually becoming something more than some needy little approval junkie. And that speaks true for every man listening to this podcast.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Ignite the King podcast. Dr. Michael Diamond here with G. Russell Reynolds. Welcome, brother.
Greetings, men. Thank you, Ro.
This is an important episode we got going on here today. I know this hits close to your heart as well. And we are going to talk about how men can get through those hard parts to transform, right? When things feel like nothing's happening, feel like you have just been hitting the ground every single day, and like, where's the progress and how do I stay with it and stay focused? Can you relate to this at all?
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Gentlemen, those of you that are listening, brace your abs. We plan on delivering a gut punch with this one.
That's for sure. We're seeing it in our own lives, in the men in our group. We are at the midway point in this warrior season in our Ignite the King brotherhood. And this is typically where the energy will ebb the most, right? We're furthest away from our immersion and furthest to the next immersion. And we're right at this midpoint where, you have this big experience and then the energy wanes, right? And I know you know what that's like, Russell, that seminar syndrome, right? Where you just come back all fired up. By Wednesday, you're doing the same shit, right?
Yep. And one of my favorite quotes is, commitment is doing the thing you said you were going to do long after the feeling that you said it in has left.
Ooh, say that one again, please.
Commitment is doing the thing you said you were going to do long after the feeling you said it in has left. It's not about the feeling. It's about the commitment. Like, you can feel all fired up. You can feel motivated. You can feel guilty. You can feel the pain enough that it's finally fucking pushed you into action. But then the problem with the little bit of success rather, is a little bit. Right. And this happens to, I think, most of us, where it's like, oh my God, I can't stand the way my body looks when I'm standing naked, looking in the mirror, getting out of the shower. I'm going to fucking do something about it. So you start cleaning up your diet and you start going to the gym. And guess what? It works. You start losing weight and you start feeling better. And then it's like, oh, okay, I can let my foot off the gas.
Classic example.
Sparky. No, Sparky. No. You're just getting started. Keep going.
I remember when I restarted my fitness journey and you helped me to set that up correctly. And I remember reporting back to you the first layers of success, through in-body testing and other things. And you're like, good, keep going. It just became this mantra, like the Jocko Willink good video, right? Where I knew what you were going to say. And this is the part that's the hardest for men out there when you're feeling like it's not working, especially with working out's a great example, because for the first month, you feel better, but you don't see anything, right? And then maybe the second month, other people start to notice you don't see anything. And then third month and beyond, it's like, then you start seeing it. But it takes at least 3 months for anything, really, any new habit, any new thing you're doing to actually show some result, right? And I think Amazon has ruined men and people in general for this, right? I used to say in my chiropractic office, like, this isn't Amazon Prime. Like, you cannot have it in 2 days, right? It took you 20 years of living a shitty lifestyle to get you to this point. If I tell you it's going to take 12 months, that's a sign on the dotted line, right? But we've come to expect things so quickly. And when it comes to personal transformation, when it comes to anything worth really having, we know, as was said to us recently, you're going to have to eat a whole bunch of shit sandwiches, and it's okay. So,
And I think it was, I'm may get this wrong. I think it was Louis C.K. was doing a talk show and talked about how we live in this world of modern conveniences. Like we're getting so pissed off when our flight is delayed and we're sitting on the tarmac for an extra 10 minutes. It's like, You're flying across the country.
Right.
That used to take 6 months on
Right.
horseback or by wagon. You know, it's
Right.
like we get pissed off that our text doesn't go through immediately. It's going to freaking outer space. Calm down. Like the level of entitlement that we have because of all the conveniences. And, you know, when you talk about that just good enough syndrome, or like when people start to let off the gas, I mentioned commitment, right? But
Do you
the
know where you were?
question is, what are you committed to? Are you committed to the goal? Are you committed to the outcome? Are you committed to the end? Or are you committed to just alleviating the pain? You feel like shit because you're out of shape. Are you committed to just getting over that feeling where you can go back to being just good enough, or settle for average? If that's the case, it's not going to last. How could you possibly see it through to the end? You've got to be committed to the outcome. You've got to, like a boxer, you know, that is committed to being world champ has to commit to being the world champ. He's not committing to just not getting beat up by his sparring partner anymore, because that's a very low level of success. So what's your actual commitment to? And guys, check yourself. What are you really committed to? Because if you're committed to the outcome, then you do the work, and you do the work when nobody's looking. You don't need praise or motivation. I saw a, man, this one hit me hard. I'm going to pull something up and share this. Michael, if you want to share something in the meantime.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to thread on a couple things you're saying because it's super important. I think men out there forget what it is you're actually fighting for, or what the goal is. And that's one of the things that happens when you get all fired up, like you're talking about commitment, when the feeling wears off. Like, yeah, we can be inspired by something, or we can be pushed by pain, right? We often say pain pushes till vision pulls.
Mm-hmm.
And that will wane, that feeling will wane. And then you're in this no man's land, so to speak, where you can't see the outcome yet, and you're far enough in, you can't turn back. And that's when it's like chop wood, carry water. Chop wood, carry water. You keep going until you get to that outcome. And this is really where and we talked about this last week in our call with Tyler Shepard, who was also our guest on the podcast last week. It's like you have to be able to put the ego aside to focus on the mission. And it's not about passing the test. It's not about, it's about what happens in real life. And as men, this is that point where you have to check yourself of, why the fuck am I even doing this? Because we talk about the shadow warrior being the mercenary when he's not connected to the vision of the king.
Right.
So that's a reminder, and that's that vision that starts to pull. You said one other thing, and then I'll get back to what you were looking up. We talk about how, man, we don't think of, that message is going to space and coming back down, or that things took a long time. And I think what happens is men don't even know that history anymore. Right? It's like all that's being erased. Russell, do you realize we're like the last generation that grew up without the internet? Yeah. So the generations beyond us, that's all they know. And it's like we get on them sometimes as entitled, right? And they are, and they have no idea.
Right.
And who's passing along that real wisdom, because they're just now like, well, this is how it is now. And it's like, well, on some levels, yes, and some levels, no. So I want to make sure to hit on those 2 points.
Yeah, no, it's super valid points. Even when it comes to growing your own food, how many people have any idea the time, the trouble, the toil, the process that it takes to till the soil, to plant the seeds, to all the way up to harvest? Because they're used to just walking over to the grocery store or driving to the grocery store. By the way, you get to drive. You don't have to walk most of the times.
Right.
It was an old song, "Nobody Walks in LA," right? Like, just get off your ass. But you just go to the store and pick up whatever you want. There's no seasons for the vegetables anymore because you can get things year round. So the level of convenience has really crippled us as far as our tenacity, as far as our fortitude, as far as our abilities go. And what
I would add a total disconnection from nature. Total disconnection.
Yeah. Disconnection from nature, disconnection from reality. We talked about, this is the thing I was going to look up. I saw Christopher Voss, former FBI negotiator, posted this one, and I screenshot it because it hit me hard. Are you willing to do the work in private? right? That it takes to win, that it takes to accomplish the goal? Are you putting in the reps when nobody's looking, which is what Tyler talked about? You do the work in private so that you can get the praise in public, but it's not about the praise. And this was the thing that Chris Voss posted. If you are an approval addict, your behavior is as easy to control as that of any other junkie. All a manipulator needs to do is a simple 2-step process: give you what you crave and then threaten to take it away. Every drug dealer in the world plays this game.
Mm.
Boom. I was like, holy shit. Because I've been that approval junkie in the past. I've needed that affirmation, that confirmation, and that attaboy, and you're doing good, and the warm fuzzies and the strokes. Because I didn't have it necessarily when I was younger. Is that fear of not being good enough? So needing that constant approval. Well, guess what? The only person that can tell me I'm good enough is me, and the effort I put in and the work that I accomplish through determination, through repetition, through actually becoming something more than some needy little approval junkie. And that speaks true for every man listening to this podcast.
Yeah, let's double tap on this. This is important. You just said something there. Huge distinction. You do it because you're telling yourself to do it and can do it, right? And let's just also call it out. And this one maybe for the ladies as well. It's nice to get that acknowledgement and that attaboy and to be seen for the work that we're putting in and doing. And the distinction is that we're not needing it. And it is nice to be acknowledged, to know that we're on track and it's being seen and received. We don't have that as much as a hardwiring as the feminine does, because they absolutely require that level of reflection and deserve it, frankly. But as men, there is a part of us that also does need that, and it is important. So want to make that distinction there.
Yeah, it is important, especially from our significant other. We want to know. I mean, men will live to serve women. Ladies, whether you know it or not, we actually live to serve you. Like, we
The
want
awakened
to
man does.
benefit you. What's that?
The awakened man does.
Yeah. The guy who's not just in it for himself. So knowing that we've added value to your life, that matters. And knowing that you recognize us for what we're doing, it matters. And that said, if that's the only thing that I'm working for, if that's the only reason I'm doing what I'm doing is to get that approval, then I am missing the boat. It's a sign of weakness. We have to be willing to do the work for who we're going to become, not what we're going to get.
Absolutely. This really ties into the pleaser energy that we talk about a lot as being one of the main pitfalls that men face. And we must ride. We're talking about warrior energy and sticking with it. So let's keep on that theme where it's like, recognize that those are the things that are going to come up. We're going to be working our ass off, plugging away at something, not seeing the progress, not getting the appreciation or the feedback or the respect, the acknowledgement. And it's like, keep going. What do I have to face now? What do I really need to be with? What's on the other side of this? So some of the, just to say right now, some of the deeper questions that really come up in the masculine psyche are like, what is this really about? What do I need to face here? What's really going on? Or what's on the other side of this? This is where it's like facing that darker shadow, so to speak, that we've been scared of, or you've been scared of your whole life. And it's finally like, what do I need to face here? Because again, you may get excited about going to a retreat or an immersion or a seminar or something, and then that energy wanes. The same when you get into the warrior transform energy. It's like you're all excited, and then the energy wanes, and then you have to start facing the deep parts of yourself, the place that you've never been before, because if you had been there, you would already be on the other side of it, right? So part of the transformation process is you're going to have who you're going to become. I think you mentioned that before. And then how you're going to be shaped and forged and grown in that fire. And it is new because you haven't done it before, right? We have this big thing going on in our group around the 6-pack challenge and men getting really fit. And I'm on board with that. And I'm having to take my body to places it's never been before. So I'm going to hit up against all kinds of places, feelings, emotions that are literally insulated there, that are getting move through. And I'm at the point where it's like I'm starting to see change, but I'm not at the outcome yet. I'm in that midpoint, and I already have the stories that are coming up. Like,
Yep.
no, it's really not going to work. Like, yeah, it worked a little bit, but don't keep with it. Fuck it, just blow everything out.
Right.
So I can already see that coming up, and it has.
Yeah. Or you know what? You've done really good. You're starting to see results. It's okay to have the ice cream.
Right.
The justification. Right. We also
Which I
have to
not.
let go of shiny object syndrome, right? Because we're
what's
so
that?
easily entertained and motivated. And again, we've got social media hijacking our dopamine so that it's like we can get bored because doing the reps is monotonous. It's mundane.
Boring.
It's the same thing over and over again, but this is what it takes. Do you need to be entertained? Like, are you a child in front of a cartoon? Right? Or can you fucking man up and do what you know you need to do? And I'm saying this to myself, trust me, because there's days that just doing the rep, I'm like, oh God, this again. But one of the men in our brotherhood, who's one of my students in Master of Defense System, he's now a level 1 assistant instructor. The men in the brotherhood saw his transformation as far as his abilities. They're like, holy shit, how did you get so good? And what was his answer? 5 minutes a day.
Right.
If you put in just 5 minutes a day, over and over and over. I've got another student, Shakem, who is an incredible martial artist on his own right before he ever met me. And he's one of the most dynamic, fast, and fluid practitioners that has studied with me. And part of why is I'll show him a move, a basic move. And while everybody else is asking for the next move or what's the follow-up or what's the fancy part, he'll go to the park and practice that move on a tree for 2 fucking hours in slow motion like he's doing Tai Chi until the muscle mechanics are so ingrained that he can do it at blinding fast speed without even thinking about it. It's putting in the reps. He's willing to put in the reps.
Did you say something like that on our last episode around training where it's like specificity, strength, speed, strength, something like that? Can you go over that again? Because I think that's really relevant here.
In MDS, we practice precision, then speed, then power. Precision is mechanics. Precision is fluidity. And I liken that to firearm training. Everyone just wants to go for speed and power. They want to go blinding fast out of the gate. If you're going fast right out of the gate, you're just hiding your weakness. Because the secret to getting really fast is going really slow. That means putting in the reps. If you're the fastest draw in the West, but you can't hit the broadside of a barn, it doesn't really matter, right? Like you could be a blazing fast gunfighter as far as your draw, but if you can't hit anything, you're going to die. So the mechanics, the precision matters more than the speed, more than the power. So we train the mechanics, we train the precision over and over and over and over and over again. And do it slowly because that way you see the deficiency, see the weakness. Oh, my weight wasn't shifted there. Oh, I missed the step there. My hand was too low, whatever it may be. And man, how many of you are willing to do that with maybe you've set a goal of getting more organized or improving your finances or whatever it is? How many of you are putting in relationship? In yeah.
How many of you getting the reps in your emotions? And that could be a 4-letter word when we talk about men, but we know how important that is. And like, okay, how present was I with my wife or my girlfriend? Where did I drop out there? Okay, how could I stay more engaged? Because this is what they want, right? They want our presence. They want it all the time. And we need to be, right? So I just think it's also good to bring it in, not just from a physical standpoint.
Right. And I agree with you. It's also
men will shy away from those reps, right?
Yeah. And
I'm going to go to the bar. I'm going to go out.
Or are we lowering our standards to match somebody else's? Right. If you want a ribeye steak and somebody goes, well, I was just going to go to In-N-Out. You go, all right. And you take the In-N-Out or McDonald's or whatever the hell it is. You get the reference, right? If in your relationship, you want presence, you want to create romance, but your woman comes home from work and just puts her face in her phone, do you just go and put your face in yours too to match her energy, to match her lowered standard? Or do you lovingly take the phone from her, notice the word lovingly, and say, hey, I want to spend time with you. And you raise the standard. You set the standard. That's being a warrior, right? Warrior doesn't always have to be aggressive and rah, rah, rah. It's like you can be a warrior by maintaining your standards and maintaining your standards from your heart. That's part of being a warrior too. And are you maintaining those standards for yourself, with yourself, by yourself? Something to think about.
Yeah. Well, the by yourself part is huge, because we said what you do in private, you get rewarded for in public, right?
Right.
And that's absolutely true. And just to kind of bring us back into the theme of this episode, where it's going to get hard, and there's going to be that time where you don't want to keep moving forward, and maybe you don't see the progress or just a little bit of progress, and it could feel like it's almost like that Groundhog's Day, but you're on purpose. And that's the key distinction here. Are you on purpose? Are you reminding yourself of the mission, the vision? What's the outcome that you're going for in any areas of your life, whether it's your relationship, your business, your finances, your mission in the world, whatever it is? But are you actually reminding yourself of that while you're going through the motions? Because you have to keep visualizing that. You have to keep, as we say, keep that shadow part at the tip of your sword to make sure it's not taking you out. Like, it's a very engaged process. And we're doing this episode almost as a reminder, like, remember, that's what you wanted. That's what you told us you wanted.
Right.
You said that. Right. So when it's boring and you're not seeing the result, are you going to stick with it or not? That's where we're at.
Right.
Yeah.
And for any of you men that start settling or let your foot off the gas, I would invite you, go to YouTube, pull up the death crawl scene from the movie Facing the Giants, and watch that shit.
Classic.
It is a classic. It fires me up every time. I get tears in my eyes every single time I watch it. You want to be reminded of who you are and what you're capable of? Watch that scene. Because they address this. It's hard. Then let it be hard.
Right.
Keep going. And, one of the messages at the end of that is you're a leader. This team is counting on you. Well, guess what, man? You're a leader. You're the hero of your own journey. Your family is counting on you. Your coworkers are counting on you. Your soul is counting on you. God, if you wish, is counting on you to fulfill the mission you were given when you came here. You are being called forward to greatness at a level you've never experienced before. Answer the call. Step up and keep going.
Well, you heard it here, folks. If that doesn't fire you the fuck up, I don't know what will. That was beautiful, man.
Thank you, bro.
Appreciate it. I feel like you're
I hope
I get
you
the
can all
benefit
tell
of you.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hope you can all tell I'm speaking to myself as much as any one of you. Because I need these reminders too.
And we're here to broadcast. We're here to send this message out. These are truths that need to be spoken, that you men need to be reminded of, frankly. Life is tough. It could be challenging. You're all facing different circumstances, and we're all going through similar things. That's why we're here to tell you this is how you do it. This is how we've done it. And here's an option. And here's a way to use natural laws to work through these things and get the other side and be thriving in who you really are, because you are meant to thrive. And maybe there's those of you out there with new children and feel bogged down and just like tired and beat up and in this new role and responsible and just feel like, is this ever going to end? And I'm here to tell you it will. And you're being shaped right now. And for those of you that are in a new relationship and you're hitting up against those places where, the honeymoon stage is kind of over and you're having some real conversations, like, keep going. And I see people, and we see a lot, people give up so easily, especially when there's kids involved. And they hit the first sign of resistance in a relationship, and then it's like not willing to do the work, shut down, and then it's like, who suffers is the children.
Right.
So your relationship's going to be tough. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Or you start settling. You start to, I'm married now, so I don't have to try anymore. The fuck you don't. You got to try twice as hard. Like if I'm in a relationship, I'm going to the gym not just for myself and to be a warrior and to always be ready, combatively speaking or whatever else to maintain my health and longevity, but I have a duty to my woman to be sexually attractive to her. I have a duty to my woman to look better naked. I can't just go, oh, well, I'm married. I don't have to try. I can get fat and lay on the couch. And women, you can't either. You have a duty, right? Romance, like guys just generally stop trying. Couples that have been married, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. What's the secret? We never ended the honeymoon phase. It's date night every week. You don't take that for granted. You put in the reps. Yeah. So whatever we're talking about, whether it's relationships, your health, your finances, put in the reps, do the work. That's what warriors do. You build it. You build that wall one brick at a time. You build that castle one brick at a time.
And here's a little gut check part that you were kind of alluding to earlier, but how many of you men are giving all those reps, but you're giving it to something that is not yours, or that you're not invested in, or you're not getting the outcome on? And in the areas where it does matter in your life, you're so tired, beat up, and you're just not willing to put it in there, right? What do they say? It's like working, putting all your energy into someone else's dream is stress, putting it into your own dream is passion, something like that. Where it's like, what's the story you're telling? Where are you giving your energy? And some men feel like they're maybe on that hamster wheel. And then how do you jump off of that and remind yourself of what's important? I think that's where the vision piece really comes in, where it's like, okay, right, what is my vision here? Because you don't want to get stuck in the Groundhog's Day and have it be 20 years later, 10 years later, 5 years later, and be like, fuck,
right,
I could have done something already.
Yeah. But you'll have that shiny new watch.
What's that?
You'll have that shiny new watch to make up for the decades of your life that you gave away.
Right.
The missed
the
family
memento.
Events.
Yeah. The token of our appreciation. I saw some video, you probably seen it, Russell, or some guy, he worked at Burger King, and he was like, been calling sick for like 20 years or something, and they gave him like an acknowledgement, and they wound up just giving him like some pens and some candy and like a Starbucks gift card or some bullshit. Wow. And it was like, this man has fucking worked here for over 20 years, never missed a day. And it was like, like, wow, talk about missing the mark on that one.
I didn't see that one, but it's not that surprising. Yeah.
Should be an Burger King anyway.
Like you said, it's get busy building your own dreams, or somebody else will hire you to build theirs. And how much are we giving away to a job that we hate, that doesn't fulfill us, and is taking away from those things that matter most? Family, legacy, fulfillment.
Did you just say legacy?
I did.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. I know we talk about that more in our King season, but maybe you can bring us into legacy a little bit, because I think this ties into vision, where if men really know what they're working toward, these times where the ebb happens, it will keep them going. Maybe you can bring us into legacy a little bit.
Yeah, legacy, to me, in my perception, it's not just about your offspring, because a lot of men are fathers. I'm not. So it's not just your offsprings, and it's not just your finances. Legacy is the effect that you will have long after you're gone. Legacy is what you leave behind that will last long after you're gone. So what impact are you creating on people's lives? He was such an asshole. It's not a great legacy to leave, right? He gave all his time to the office, and his wife was wanting, his children were wanting. Not a great legacy to leave. What are the values that you are teaching your children, your family? What are the contributions that you are making to your community, society, humanity at large? That's legacy. How has the vibrational field or the pool of humanity risen because you were here for a brief moment in time? That's legacy to me. So, and again, I'll reference my mom, who set the bar high. She invented the Amber Alert for missing children. There's thousands of children in the U.S. alone that are alive today because of her. That Mother's Day and Father's Day is not a day of mourning for their parents. It's a day of celebration. That's a fucking legacy. I'm like, wow. Yeah. All right, I got to try to live up to that. Thanks, Mom. But I'm
Shout
honored.
out to your mom, by the way. Let's give some love there.
Absolutely.
Creator of the Amber Alert. Amazing.
Yeah, and she was just an average woman. Look up, go to YouTube, look up Deanna Simone Amber Alert. DIANA SIMONE. And
we'll
you'll see
put it
her
in the
TED
show
Talk.
notes. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll see her TED Talk about creating that. She was just an average woman, no special qualifications, no college degree. She just felt a calling. And guess what? Speaking of this warrior energy, when it got hard, when she ran into resistance, when people told her, stop, just give it up, there's nothing you can do, she didn't accept it. Never once. She kept going. Because the calling in her heart was louder than the voices of all the naysayers. So, men, is the calling in your heart louder than the voices of the naysayers, including the ones that are in your head? Step the fuck up. The world is waiting for the gifts that you're here to bring. Your family is waiting. Your future is waiting. Your highest potential is waiting for you to step up. We've talked about on other episodes, we think time is promised. Tomorrow is promised. It's not. How much time do you think you've got? Step up. Now. If we live with that end in mind, like, shit, I've got to make my contribution. I've got to fulfill the mission of my soul. I've got to leave a legacy worthy of a hero's journey. Then the reps are easy, a lot easier. Then we can do the work because we're focused on that end in mind, not on it's hard, not on it's tedious or monotonous, not on the good enoughs. We're focused on greatness. I might get a little
man again, beautiful, Russell.
I might get a little fired up with this shit.
I'm like pausing because I'm like, I just need to take that in for a moment. I don't, Russell is in the inspired mode right now. I'm feeling inspired, I should say. Thank you for that. As you were speaking and you were talking about the reps, something that popped in for me, and I had this realization recently, is I started to be really grateful to even have the opportunity to have the reps, to have the repetition, right? Even on the simple things like, I get up at, rituals in the morning, right? Get up, make coffee, go to the bathroom even, and then all the things that kind of just get my son out to school, all the things. And it's like, wow, how beautiful that I get to experience that day after day after day after day, that I get to wake up in my home and go downstairs and have a cup of coffee waiting for me and to see my son before, all the things. It's like, yeah, I'll rep that all day fucking long, like give me that every day. And I'll have to, the part that popped in was like checking myself when I was either maybe complaining or not happy about that or feeling like Groundhog's Day. I'm like, wait a minute, what a fucking blessing. I get to do this every day. So I just want to add that perspective in. It's like, you get to go to the gym and you don't have to own all that equipment and you can just fucking go there and utilize all this thing.
Right.
Yes, you're exchanging money for, all the things, but wow, like just grateful to even have the opportunity for the rep. So I wanted to, that really popped as you were speaking. Thank you.
That's a beautiful perspective, man, and a great awareness. Putting yourself in that attitude of gratitude, and I get to do these things. Like I get to aspire for greatness, and it's within my reach. If I just do the reps, like it's within my reach. Like how many people in socialist or communist countries, they do as they're told. Average is the best thing they can hope for, and if they fall below average, then they're just eliminated.
Right.
Like, we are so blessed.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, hey, guess what? You woke up this morning. A lot of people didn't. You're blessed.
Right.
Be grateful. Take a deep breath. When you're done with that one, there's another one right behind it. Be grateful. Got out of bed. You put your feet on the floor. You had 2 feet on the end of each leg. 2 legs. Wow. And they both work.
How about that?
People that don't. Right? Like I was in a car accident recently and my low back is jacked up. Okay, that's temporary. I'll be better and I still can walk and I still can function.
Right.
You know, it's like, okay, my back hurts and I'm grateful. Could be a lot worse. There's homeless veterans that served our country in war that are living on the streets in a wheelchair. I'm fucking grateful for the gifts I have. And to honor them as well as the gifts I have, I'm going to take full advantage of it. And I'm going to do the reps and I'm going to be the best version of me that I can be. That's my duty. That's your duty. Step up.
What's the statistic? It's like if you have a roof over your head, clothes on your back, and food in your refrigerator, you're wealthier than like 80% of the world, something like that. Probably more.
I think it's like the top 3%. It's something crazy.
Yeah, I saw a cartoon once, and it was like this guy was in his car looking at someone driving a fancy car and says, "Oh, maybe one day I wish I had that car," right? And then it goes to the next picture, and it's like a guy riding his bike, looking at that guy in his shitty car, going,
Right.
"Man, one day I'll have that. I'll have a car." And then there's another picture of a guy walking with looking at the guy on the bike.
Yep.
Right? You've seen this, and
Yep.
he's like, "Man, one day I'll have a bike." And then there's a guy. The last picture, it's like a guy from his apartment who's in a wheelchair looking at the guy walking and says, "I wish I could walk," or something like that. Just perspective. And that was popping when you were sharing. It's like, man, just to be grateful for what we have and the ability to do the reps. And, I think this kind of, as we start to tie up this episode and bring us into the actionables, it's like, fuck, gratitude right away that you even have the ability to have these problems. Like, it's gut check right there.
Right.
So I'll ping it back to you.
Yeah, it's be grateful that you have the ability and the resources to aspire for greatness. Decide what you want. I've mentioned this on previous episodes. Decide. Suicide, pesticide, herbicide, genocide. The Latin root word "side" means to cut off, kill, or cause death to. So to decide means to cut off, kill, or cause death to all other possibilities. When you decide upon greatness, when you decide that you're going to get in the best shape of your life, when you decide that you're going to create a relationship of passion and polarity and romance and beauty with your woman, then nothing else is possible. You decide, you focus on that, like it's done, and you're willing to put in the reps. Step up. That's the actionable. Step up. Decide what you want, be grateful for what you've got, and step the fuck up. Full stop.
Love that. I'll add one more and then we'll close it out. Get clear on what you want. Like if there is a goal, like if it's your body, if it's your finances, if it's in relationship, what is the goal? Like what's the outcome? And then overestimate how long it's going to take and get to fucking work. And when it gets hard, keep going. And then when it happens sooner than what your goal was, you'll be excited, right? It's as simple as that. Not to just give you a formula, but it's going to get hard. There's going to be challenging times. And those are the moments where you got to listen to a show like this. Remind yourself of that why. What is that goal? Is it in front of you every single day? Are you looking at it? Are you obsessing about it? All the successful people in the world will tell you they know what their goal is. I think it was Jim Rohn was like, if you don't know what your goals are, I can guess your checking account within $100. He's like, you got to know your goal. You got to have it written. This is a pillar of being in the warrior energy and the warrior DNA is that complete focus and clarity.
And you make a good point on specificity. Right?
Specificity.
I want to lose weight is not a goal. Right? I want to lose 50 pounds, have more energy than ever before, and do it within 6 months. That's a goal.
Right.
And this is what I'm committed to giving in order to achieve that, what I want. You have to give to get. Right?
And I love that you said that because I want to add to that. And, what we would say, find a group like Ignite or find coaches. But when it comes to this fitness thing, because I just rehired my personal trainer and I've been getting some killer workouts. And every time, like, and I said to him, like, this is why I hired you, because I would not push myself this hard.
Yep.
I would get a good workout in, but if I didn't know that I was accountable to you, I wouldn't do this. Even though I have the goal, even though I have the thing I want, it's very clear. So coaches, mentors, guides, programs like ours are absolutely essential. You know, whatever you're involved with, to someone that's done it, that is showing you how to do it, is a big part of the actionable.
I would agree.
Yeah. You have anything else to say, brother? Because I think we're right at our time here.
Love to hear your comments, man. So please like, subscribe, share. We always say that. And if this was a gut punch, if this was an ignition for you, if it ignited your motivation, your spirit, your heart, your why, share it with others. Like spread the word, because this is about all of us raising the standard of what it means to be a man.
Yeah, and I'll throw in a plug for our next immersion. Our warrior immersion's coming up at end of November, before Thanksgiving, and this is a perfect opportunity if you're a man out there that it's like, fuck it, I want to go in the deep end and I want to show up for myself and I need to just go full send on this thing. Send us a message, reach out, go to ignitetheking.com, schedule a call, and we will see if you're fit and go from there. So that is coming up. Have a beautiful rest of your day, men out there. Hope you got value out of this episode. Thank you very much.
Go get it.
Aho.